good and evil, something well depicted by the Unstable SMP. The good can be very kind, the bad can be downright cruel, and some examples are not who you expect. Starting off with one of the best people on the server, Parrot. Parrot has constantly been there when the server needed him, when the server needed a savior, when they needed a provider. He's known to be one of, if not the only player trying to save the server, one of the only players who doesn't kill for fun and only does it when it's absolutely necessary. He's recently been running for king, and out of all the other candidates, his intentions seem the purest. He's the only one who isn't just doing it for power. He genuinely cares for the server. You've seen this before with the Farland civilization. Parrot solved a bunch of conflict in that civilization once he became leader. Parrot is also very smart when it comes to detecting evil. He immediately saw through a manipulator like Lettuce and plans to expose him to the entire server so they don't get a power-hungry and envious leader like Lettuce. Before the King's Arc, Parrot searched for treasures, not for wealth, not for power, not for any sort of personal gain, but so he could give all those valuables away to the server for free. Parrot doesn't even ever tell anyone about this charity. He keeps it to himself. He could easily bring his charity work up to get votes during the election, but he doesn't, which proves his pure intentions. There have been times Parrot has done evil, like when he killed the law guard for stealing the owl's book. While there isn't proper justification for that, there is some for his other evils, like when he revealed Wembu's identity or when he betrayed FlameFrags. Parrot does feel guilt for it and admits his errors towards the end of his King's Arc, which is a sign of his humility. But kind players like Parrot often get countered by evil ones like FlameFrags. FlameFrags is the server's most popular criminal. He literally got exiled by the law and hunted during that exile. That just goes to show how much evil he has done. Recently, on his training arc, Flame has shown to use his skill and dominance for selfish and evil purposes. He blew up and massacred a village with Manepear, he killed players for spite, and put his best friend in danger. Even the 2B1000 stunt will be considered evil. You might think it's fair because it's self-defense, and think the law was in the wrong. But what you might be forgetting is that Flame was evil even before the law. He was part of the Invisible Mafia, he was even seen as a guard in the Zam Empire. He constantly took up morally twisted jobs, so obviously people would hunt him down. Flame's rivalry with Wemmbu is a bit controversial, as there isn't a clear villain in this rivalry. But if we look at the most recent events, Flame surely looks like the villain, as once the 2E1000 was over, instead of forgetting about his petty conflict with Wemmbu, he decided to start killing him again, which led both of them to lose to the law. If only Flame wouldn't have backstabbed Wemmbu, the law would not even have come into power. But what if someone learns to improve from their evil ways? Someone like Wemmbu, who falls in the good category. Now that might have taken you a little by surprise, as I've always talked about Wemmbu being evil in my videos. But recently, Wemmbu has proved to be changing for the better. Similarly to Flame, Wemmbu has also been on his own quest to stop the law. But unlike Flame, he hasn't been killing innocent players or bombing villages to stop the law. Wemmbu joined the Pirates, as he previously mended his relationship with Jaden. He fought for them, and even when the odds seemed to be fully against him, he went alone to the law's hideout and tried destroying their orbital strike cannon, proving his commitment to a mission, and proving his loyalty to people who are good to him, which is a recurring theme with his character. Wemmbu only fought people when it was absolutely necessary, like when he got pressed by some bandits. Wemmbu has been in the wrong sometimes too, like when he fought the rare item collector, which ended up being a bit of a misunderstanding. But what about the 2V1000 from his POV? Wemmbu went to fake his identity as he regretted and felt guilt for his past evil. He wanted to move on from everything he had done in the past, including his rivalry with FlameFrags. He constantly tried to convince Flame to stop fighting, and to this day calls Flame his friend, which shows his maturity and ability to move on from evil. But what about a player who went from good to evil? This player would be you if you don't subscribe. But in reality, this player is LettuceK. Lettuce used to be an ordinary player who had big dreams of becoming a leader like Swag or Prince Zam. But he didn't look up to Ash and Zam like in a mentor way. He envied them, which eventually led him to creating the law. Now on the surface, the law seems like everything but evil. They stop crime and have succeeded in getting two of the strongest players under their control. But it is when you dig deeper when the cover starts to blow. Lettuce is a lot more evil than it may seem. He uses manipulation to gain support, and with that support, dreams to become king of the Unstable SMP. Recently, he killed one of the king candidates and commenced the purge. He basically made the remaining candidates physically fight each other for votes. He even plans to kill Parrot, the same Parrot from our good examples we talked about earlier. Even before that, Lettuce sacrificed 1,000 players just to kill 2 of them. Now this wouldn't be as bad if Lettuce's intention was pure and was able to kill Wemmbu and Flame, but he admitted to merely sacrificing those players to gain votes. Also, he could have power. You might ask, how does he even keep getting away with these evil acts? Well, Lettuce is a master manipulator. He has preserved the law's reputation through lying to them about Wembu's capture and Flame's safe exile, and manipulation is one of the worst forms of evil. Egg-chan is another example of good people on the Unstable SMP. He is seen to be extremely patient with Wembu and sticks by his side no matter what. He doesn't even complain when Wembu does evil, or when Egg himself gets captured because of Wembu. Even when there was a choice between his life and Wembu's mace, Egg told Wembu to not give up the mace. Egg-chan also helps others. He helped the people of the Ice Mountain civilization, the same people who didn't want to welcome Wembu, even during their stay. Egg was against the idea of using the people of the civilization to lure the mafia, and once they attacked, Egg didn't hesitate to help them fight. Even now, Egg-chan stays loyal to Wembu through his highs and lows. He never even complained about the Farlands trip and how he got stuck in the end. But there's one specific moment which may ruin his niceness, and that is the molten lava incident. It's clear Egg-chan only did this as when that video was posted, it was and is still winter time, and that trader was probably feeling cold, so to get him warm, Egg-chan put him above lava. Here's a question for you. When you think of evil on Unstable, who do you think of first? Well, for me, the first person who pops up in my head is Ashwag. His evil is unmatched. There is literally no one else as evil as him in the server's history, and maybe even in the future. Ashwag created an entire cult, known as the Invisible Mafia. He became the ruthless dictator. He literally killed anyone he could, even his own mafia members. Why? Who knows? There isn't any tragic backstory which makes Ashwag this way. He's literally just evil for the sake of it. He didn't only kill players himself, he tried to force his ways and world's view onto others by forcing them to kill innocent players. He even tried to corrupt Parrot, who was one of the only remaining uncorrupted people on the server. He got Dean the Bean to rejoin the mafia just so Parrot could kill him with his own hands, and then laughed in his face. But Ashwag lacked one quality needed to become the perfect villain: manipulation, which is something Weefies had. Weefies, or the director, is the only one somewhat close to Ashwag's level of evil. Weefies faked his death to his best friend Parrot, only to put him through mental turmoil, and to top it all off, reveal the truth to him at the climax. And it didn't end there. He then trapped Parrot in a prison and continued the manipulation. Eventually, he trapped himself and Parrot on pressure plates, arming a bomb. And if one of them stepped off, they would both blow up. What felt like a bittersweet ending to a bittersweet story turned into one final betrayal. But Weefies wasn't always like this. He was once one of the kindest people on the server. He was basically identical to Parrot. Weefies would help people as much as Parrot did. He agreed to help him solve puzzles and stuck by him during assassination attempts, dangerous adventures, and all-out war. He even sacrificed himself for Parrot so he could find out Spoke's secret. Keeping in mind, these two had only known each other for about 3 hours. The main way Weefies was different from Parrot was that he thought far more logically. He wanted Dean to leave them as he knew he was a traitor, and later tried to force Parrot to stop, as logically it made no sense that the Farland civilization was real. And maybe that is the conflicting factor that led him to turn on Parrot. But perhaps the saddest part is that Weefies never really thought he was the villain. He never expected to be seen as a monster, and never expected to hurt his best friend. But you know what they say, true villains are made, not born. Now, if you'd like to find out the 7 heavenly virtues as unstable characters, click the video on screen, and subscribe too while you're at it to help me reach 100k.